Thank you for staying with us. Now we will switch lanes and take a look at the e-learning approach being deployed by schools nationwide as schools remain shut. And joining us to look at this is Dr. Mahmoud Bukarmeina. He is a research fellow at the School of Life Sciences at the University of Sussex in the UK. He is also a science communicator and educator with over 10 years of experience in Africa and is the founder of Science Communication Hub Nigeria and the African Science Literacy Network. And he joins us from Sussex in the United Kingdom. Dr. Maina, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. So let's look at the e-learning approach being deployed in Nigeria. What's the situation or how effective do you think this will be?
To be honest with you, what I would like to say is look at it from the angle of what other countries are doing, and then look at what our situation is in Nigeria. Because at the moment, I do know that there are some efforts in Nigeria to try to trigger e-learning platforms. So I'm not really sure about the specifics of which e-learning management systems they're going to deploy. But in the West, for example, here in the UK, people are continuing to attend lectures, to listen to lecture recordings, for example, as well as engage with their tutors. But then one of the most important things to consider when looking at e-learning is, do we have enough capability? For example, you need good internet connection. You'll need a PC. You'll need, obviously, you need electricity. And also, you will need to ensure that people that do have disability also have access to some of those platforms that you provide. So overall, I think one of the things that we have to consider is this is something that should have been part of our system. And obviously with COVID-19 now, it just means that we have to jump straight into it, which means it will come with some challenges. But even despite these challenges, we can't really sit back and wait till the crisis kind of disappears, which is not likely to happen anytime soon.
All right. So for those parts where you talked about people who are not, who might not have some of these things that you made mention that are very vital to the implementation of the e-learning project, which is electricity, good internet connection, personal computer. Some state governments actually are now using the television as well as the radio platforms to also, deliver classes to students. Don't you think that would also cover up where we have these lapses?
Yes, so this is a very, very good question. And like I said, it's really important that we use any means possible to continue providing education to people back at home. But I have to remind you that, you see, when you use TV, for example, in classes when life was normal, people go to the classroom and it's a restricted environment which has discipline. So people listen to the teacher and they have to follow some certain rules. But now people staying at home do not necessarily have to follow those rules. And this might be a kind of deliberate and it may be not deliberate. What do I mean by that? So for example, some people live in a household with about 10 people, yeah? And you need to concentrate to be able to learn. So when you have a lot of people in your household, it means that even listening to the TV, learning would not really be ideal. But like I said, we still have to start somewhere. And also in terms of, let's say, radio programs, yeah, that's also very useful. But you need to remember, learning sometimes requires a lot of different senses. So some people would like to learn by looking as well as listening. And some people would like to learn in a different way. So the audio format is not necessarily going to be efficient. But like I said, this is something that we have to kind of accept because it's something that happens kind of suddenly. So we have to use whatever method available. But the most important thing to remember, is that it's not necessarily going to be common for everyone. So which means that in some houses, which, for example, if they are from a rich household, they have their own. You wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that this would be a good place, to hold the conversation. Yes, truly, we know this just fell on our laps. We didn't expect it, and hopefully people will get used to it. For those who live in houses where, like you said, they have a lot of people, hopefully those people would excuse them and, they would have that concentration they need so they can learn. But and also for those who don't have the internet and all of those things, perhaps that will also be rolled out soon, and so they can also be a part of it. But I have to say thank you, Dr. Bukar Maina. You joined us from Sussex in the United Kingdom. Thanks again for joining us on the program and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll take a look at the movie videos on our YouTube channel in the past week now.
How is it contacted?
Contacted when you don't wash your hands properly.
So how do you wash your hands?
You always use
A report showing how Nigerians have adjusted in the wake of the coronavirus begins this week's most viewed videos.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Good. In fourth place, are the moments preparatory to the burial of the late Chief of Staff to President Muhammadu Buhari at the Gudu Cemetery, Abuja. Third spot sees the collapse of a building that resulted in some casualties in Imo State. In second is the approval by President Muhammadu Buhari that the lockdown in Lagos, Ogun and the FCT be gradually eased from May the 4th.
I have approved a phased and gradual easing of lockdown measures in FCT, Lagos and Ogun states effective from Monday, 4th of May 2020.
While the revelation that 70% of medical personnel in Kano State have absconded in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic takes the #1 spot as the most viewed videos in the past week.
70% of the medical doctors in Kano have all absconded and abandoned their duty posts because they are scared. They have not been provided with the personal protective garments which they can use so that they can protect themselves.
And there you go. Those were the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. And also, that's the program this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Stay safe.